So for the introduction, any members of the insect order Coleoptera, which include beetles and weevils, is referred to as an Coleopteran or Coleoptera. With over 40% of all non-insect species, it is the largest order of insect. Many of the biggest and most noticeable insects belong to the roughly 390,000 species of Coleoptera, some of which also feature eye-catching forms, elaborate patterns, or beautiful metallic colors. This is according to Encyclopedia Britannica 2024. The two sets of wings of beetles are typically used to identify them. The front pair is altered to form horn covers or elytra that conceal the rear pair and most of the abdomen. This elytra typically meets in a straight line down the back of the beetle. There are Coleoptera in almost every climate. They can be categorized into four groups. The majority of the beetles are found in the fourth category, the Polypaga, whereas the Acrostemata, Adiphaga, and Mysophaga comprise very few families.
For this field analysis study, there are three main objectives, which is to determine the diversity of Coleoptera in UiTM Tapa. The second one is to observe characteristics of Coleoptera, and the last one is to analyze the issues on the findings of the Coleoptera in UiTM Tapa.
Next, the characteristics of Coleoptera, also known as beetles. Beetles have two pairs of wings. The first one is forewings, elytra, and the hind wings. The forewings are hardened and protective, while the hindwings are membranous and used for flight. The second one is size. Coleoptera vary greatly in size, from a fraction of millimeter to more than 200 millimeter, almost 8 inches in length. So the third one is mouthpart. Mouthpart beetles have mandibulate mouthpart, meaning they possess prominent mandibles used for biting and chewing. So these mandibles are well developed and can vary in size and shape depending on the beetle species and their feeding habit. Palps aid in manipulating feed and sensing chemical cues. The next one is antenna, may be filiform thread-like, serrate saw-like, pectinate comb-like, namely plate-like or club at the tip, among other forms. Next one is movement. Coleoptera can walking, running, climbing, flying, swimming, jumping, burrowing, and digging. The exoskeleton is hard and it has a dense exoskeleton. So the last one is for the legs. Legs of Coleoptera have three main parts, which is coxa, proximal segment attached to the body, trochanter, fibromatoid, tibia, shin, tarsus, spleen, and claws.
In life cycle of Coleoptera, we have 4 stages. First stage is the egg. After mating, female beetles search for specific places to lay their eggs, which vary by subfamily. Flower beetles prefer decaying leaf matter, while step beetles burrow into rotten wood. They create small holes in the wood to deposit single eggs, then seal them with wood fragments. Some lay only a few dozen eggs, while others can lay hundreds over their lifetimes. Egg hatching times vary greatly between species, marking the start of the larvae stage. The second stage is the larvae. After hatching, beetle larvae enter the first stage, known as the first instar. They grow by shedding their skin several times, each time becoming larger. After shedding, for the first time, they enter the second instar, continuing to eat and grow until they shedding again into the third instar. This stage can last from months to years, depending on the species. During the third instar, larvae consume as much substrate as possible to gain weight. Some of the largest beetle larvae can reach weight up to 150 grams before developing into adult beetle. In stage 3 is the pupae. After reaching a darker yellowish color, beetle larvae construct a chamber in the soil where they shed their skin for the last time and enter the pupal stage. Different species create varying levels of sturdy chambers. Flower beetles form strong soil cocoons, while step and rhino beetles make more fragile chambers that may collapse if disturbed. During pupation, the larvae undergo metamorphosis, gradually transforming into adult beetles. This stage can last weeks to months, depending on the species. Last but not least, the imago, which is the adult. Once metamorphosis is complete, the adult beetle will emerge from the pupae. Its wings cases will form properly and harden, which is a process that may take a few days. The adult beetle will then have an inactive stage where it sits and waits inside its chamber or cocoon, sometimes for several months depending on the species. They will then emerge completely when conditions become more very favorable. The adult beetle will then make its way to the surface of the substrate where it will find food, mate, and the life cycle will then start all over again.
For this field analysis study, we use the capture mark recapture technique. The capture mark recapture technique is used to estimate the population size of animals or insects. Initially, a group of animals is captured, marked harmlessly and released back into the wild. After some time, another group is captured, include some of the previously marked animals. By comparing the number of marked and unmarked animals, we can estimate the total population in the area. This method helps in understanding animal populations and their movement, providing valuable data for conservation and management of species. It is widely used for studying animals like birds, fish and insects. Okay, for this part, I will explain to you about the hand collection method. For this method actually involves manually capturing insects using hand or tools like forceps, sweep nets and other suitable tools. And also, equipment needed includes handheld containers and personal protective equipment, which is PPE, for our safety. The procedure requires visually locating and gently capturing insects without causing any harm. And for your information, there is advantages of this method, which is being suitable for visible and accessible insects, allowing selective targeting of specific species, and being cost-effective with minimal equipment needed. But there is some limitation for this method, which is labor-intensive for large area, potentially causing stress or injury to delicate insects, and last but not least, being limited for elusive or fast-moving species. For the second one, we use the sweep net method. The sweep net method uses a net to capture flying or active insects from vegetation. The equipment needed includes a sweep net and, as we know, personal protective equipment. Now we move to the procedure. The procedure involves sweeping the net through vegetation to collect insects for further examination. There is few advantages of this method, which is include effectively capturing a wide range of insects, allowing for quick and efficient sampling of larger areas, and the last but not least is being suitable for studying flying insects. But there is some limitation for this method, which is the potential inability to capture ground-dwelling species. The second one is requiring skill to sweep the net effectively, and the last one is the possibility of some insects escaping during the sweeping process.
Next up, we have analysis of the findings in our field trip. The least abundant in our observations are Asian lady beetles and ladybugs. However, the more abundant ones are green scarab beetles, great wine beetles, and Lucanus beetle. Next, the least abundant ones are Asian lady beetles, or scientifically named as Harmonia aziridis. Their type is invertebrates and they heavily feed on aphids. They are omnivores. Harmonia aziridis, like other lady beetles or ladybirds, use isopropyl mectozine pyrazine as a defensive mechanism to deter predation. It is considered to be one of the world's most invasive insects along with ladybugs. When threatened, the bugs will secrete an oily, foul-tasting fluid from joints in their legs. Commonly mistaken for Asian lady beetles, ladybugs are scientifically named as Cocainellidae. Their types are invertebrates and they also heavily feed on aphids. What differs them between each other is their pattern. Ladybugs are happy in many different habitats, including grasslands, forests, cities, suburbs, and along rivers. When the weather turns cold, they look for a warm, secluded place to hibernate, such as in rotting logs, under rocks, or even inside houses. Their defense mechanisms are also the same as Asian lady beetles.
The observation that a significant number of beetles found in UiTM Tapa are either dead or in the process of dying raise concerns about the health and availability of the beetle population in the area. It appears that the environment at UiTM Tapa poses challenges for the growth and survival of beetle. Beetles lifespan vary widely depending on the species, where some are living only for a couple weeks, while other species can survive for several years due to its limited food supply and other hazards, like the possibility of being crushed because Coleoptera species are typically located on the ground. UiTM Tapa might not be the best place for them to thrive. Last, they are crucial to preserving ecological balance because of their roles as predators and decomposers, which emphasize the necessity for a conservation initiative to address the difficulties they confront in this particular habitat.
To improve the capture mark recapture technique, it is recommended to explore new methods for marking beetles that minimize harm and maximize retention. Research innovative marking techniques to ensure beetles are not harmed and focus on methods that improve the likelihood of recapturing marked beetles. Additionally, conduct detailed habitat and environmental measurements by thoroughly assessing beetle habitats to gather precise data. This should include factors like temperature, humidity, and vegetation. Lastly, engage local communities and citizen scientists by encouraging their participation in data monitoring and conservation efforts, raise awareness and provide information to citizen scientists to enhance data collection.
To conclude everything, by studying Coleoptera or beetles, it offers insight into the largest order of insects with over 400,000 species. It enhances and by understanding of biodiversity, ecological role like pollination and pest control, and evolutionary biology. Beetles also serve as indicators of ecosystem health and provide practical knowledge for agriculture and conservation efforts, making them valuable subject for both education and environmental stewardship.